All righty. Good morning.
Hey, Dan.
We're live. Good morning, all.
That's Sam. So here we go, July 7th. We are all sitting sheltered from the parade.
Yeah.
What's going on this morning?
Don't leave your home.
I had somebody asked to go to an apartment downtown today at 10 o'clock, or a building downtown. And I said, absolutely not.
There's horses on the streets.
Mayhem. Yeah.
Animals.
End of times. Animals on the streets.
So what? There's supposed to be what, 250,000 people down there on the parade route to this morning?
Is that the number? Oh my!
I think so.
It's just the place to be this morning. Yeah, downtown with 250,000 people.
Yeah. It's like a spectacle to see this crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I remember last year I tried to cross the parade route prior to it starting. To try and I was trying to catch up with some family and stuff, and I missed it by like a minute. They closed off the route to the ability to cross the street, and so it took me 1 hour to cross to the other side because like so many buildings are closed, so many plus 15s are closed, and I had to go down like 5 more blocks. Anyways, it was just crazy.
We should
get a drone out in the backyard. Sorry, Jen, what's that?
We should get the drone out this morning and just snap some photos. I don't know. I mean, that'd be an interesting perspective.
That would be,
years back when I think when I was president of the Calgary Real Estate Board, we had a float in the parade, and the board of directors had a bet. There was a bunch of them were going to be in the float, and I was like, not a chance. And so they shamed me into walking the parade, and I was like, oh, okay. So I did it, and I have to tell you, and then I did it for 3 years in a row. I have to tell you, it was the most fun I had during Stampede, because you can absolutely, you walk in front of a group, you can kind of capture a group, and you have their entire attention, and you can control them. You can say, okay, give me a big Yahoo, and the whole place, like they do. It's really quite interesting and a lot of fun. So I would, that's my Stampede parade story.
Just while we're on the Stampede, it's interesting that Calgary has captured the Yahoo and not the Yeehaw. I'm not sure. They've got Yahoo signs all over the city, but they don't promote the Yeehaw, which is I don't know what the difference is.
I wonder what's behind that. Probably
it's a conspiracy.
Or something that maybe have something to do with the woke.
So anyway, Stampede starts today. We're here 7 days into July, and when it comes to real estate in the summer months in Calgary, there's always a question of how's it going to perform? Is it going to be slow? I mean, it's historically kind of a slower time than the rest of the year, and so I thought, why don't we just look at some numbers here in the last week after we've kind of finished out the first week. So total sales for the first week of July here, 387. That's firm sales. 526 new listings in Calgary this week. And the scary number here, 534 pending sales in the last 7 days. So again, there's as many homes getting sold as getting listed, and there's only 2,500 active listings. I'm correct here. 2,574. I mean, that's 5 weeks of inventory, and it's low. So I don't know. I mean, I think that is an indicator that we're shaping up for a pretty busy market this summer. It's not going to be slow, but that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Well, my experience during Stampede is that if the realtors that are working can do an incredibly busy, become a great month, a great week, I should say, because a lot of people come into town. A lot of people double down on Stampede if they're moving to Calgary or planning to move to Calgary. they will plan it around Stampede and pay the exorbitant hotel rates, Airbnb rates during this week. But so there's a lot of people that come to town and they come with a dual purpose, to have a little bit of a holiday and maybe look at a house. So my experience has been, it can be, if you're really focusing on out of town buyers, it can be incredibly busy.
Mm-hmm. I understand that this week, I think the hotels in Calgary have the highest occupancy rate for years. So that, normalcy is returning in a big way, which is pretty. I mean, it's pretty sweet, and you can kind of feel it in the city. It's nice.
Yeah, what are like hotel rates? Have you monitored that, Michael?
I haven't been monitoring hotel rates, but monitoring kind of performance of short-term rentals, and I mean, well, just anecdotally, one of our clients, their Mission condo, it's for the 10 days of Stampede, it's just a single bedroom. He's getting $460 per night. Just single bedroom, nothing special. So you would assume that hotels are going to be in that same neighborhood, like a regular standard hotel room or higher, potentially. So
yeah, that's what I've heard. You can really kill it if you have an Airbnb during Stampede. 10 days at $450 a night is a few months of rent.
Yeah, just hopefully perspective, short-term rental investors are not assuming that that's going to carry through the year, because that's a pretty short-lived little jump for at least some of the properties out there, but it is pretty good.
And I mean, any update on the sort of the short-term rental market in general? You're pretty tuned into that.
Yeah. Okay. So the short-term rental market across North America is undergoing a lot of shift. In some cities, it's quite local. So I'll give you an example. In Dallas, the city of Dallas has banned short-term rentals as of I think 1 or 2 months ago, in all single family neighborhoods, which is, I think it like wiped off 1,000 Airbnbs in Dallas, in that category. So they still allow them in condos, but it's one sign of a kind of crackdown, I would say. Not only at maybe in Calgary we see crackdowns at the condo board level, where there's like a shifting landscape, but also at a municipal level. And so I think the city of Calgary is currently doing a study with the U of C. I believe there's like a working group that's studying the effect of short-term rentals on the housing market. And I bet you a year from now they'll probably publish the study. And I do think that it'll probably come out that there is actually a significant impact from short-term rentals on that housing affordability. So, that's one aspect. One of the trends.
Which impact do you? What do you feel the impact is on housing affordability?
Well, I mean,
negative.
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. From an investor standpoint, it's an investor of multifamily properties, it's a good effect, because rates go up. At a tenant level, it's a bit of a shortage of housing inventory, of rental units and whatnot. So, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, ultimately, I think, you kind of want equilibrium. Like it's, like I think Airbnbs are fantastic. Short-term rentals really create like variety for travelers and for other people, frankly. But sometimes the pendulum can swing a little bit too far in one direction. So, I think a bit of balance is good. So.
Yeah, it's funny how the rentals, they can be, I guess, villainized. I remember, well, back in 2010, the Calgary Real Estate Board came out with actually a position paper for the first time. We hadn't taken many public positions, and we said that rentals rental suites, secondary suites should be legal in all zones of Calgary, in all zoning areas,
Yeah.
provided that they're owner occupied.
Yeah.
And what that meant was that, you even in R1, like for example, here in Briar Hill, there's a lot of, for example, widows who have live alone in a house. They could use a student living in the basement to shovel the snow, cut the grass, help with. It's just it provides community and allows us to sort of lean on each other rather than lean on the city for resources and things like that. So it really was a positive. But they were villainized for a time. Secondary suites were out of favor, and it was like, oh my God, we're gonna have all these renters as if they were second-class citizens living in our R1 neighborhood. My God,
Yeah.
And with all the cars they were driving, when most of them didn't even have a car.
Yeah.
So, and now of course they become more in favor, and the pendulum has swung the other way. I sense that we'll have the same kind of progress, I suppose, with Airbnbs, is that they'll become NIMBY, not in my backyard, we don't want them, and then people will get used to them, and it's just become a thing of more accepted.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's happening for sure. But I think in certain condo buildings, I mean, I don't live in a condo, but you do hear of entire buildings, basically banning them. So it's like a shifting landscape in the condo market. And I think, like I said, for any prospective investor, I mean, it's like you got to be really, really savvy. And frankly, I think you got to actually like do your cash flow analysis as if you're buying a long-term rental, because that is not going to be prohibited, so if it makes sense as a long-term rental, if you want to try it as a short-term rental, as a kind of a test, and maybe bring in a few more profits, then great, but you got to do that analysis as a long-term rental. And that's how the banks are looking at it too, from a lending standpoint. They do not, I don't believe any lenders are looking at short-term rental as like, oh yeah, that's the income on the property.
Yeah, one of the strategies that I used on one of my properties was I have my lease term come due like July 1st, and I require in there that they give me whatever notice prior to it. So even if I rented it in August, I would have the term, and it would be an 11-month term. And so if it's going to be vacant for a month, I Airbnb it for that month and make I don't know, 4 times the rent that I would normally make anyway.
That's a pretty smart move.
Yeah, or if not, I could host some out of town guests, like if it's going to be empty. That is on my furnished rentals, of course. On the unfurnished rentals, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Why don't we skip over to the topic of refinancing? We've had the discussion with some clients about where they obtained some pretty favorable financing, let's say 5 years ago. Today it's coming due for refinancing, and they're looking at the landscape and just the affordability or unaffordability of financing today. And I would say that a lot of these might be rentals, and so maybe if these folks are holding on to long-term lower rental rates, they're going to be underwater when I go to refinance, because the operating costs, taxes, all of that has increased. Inflation has had some hard-hitting effects, and so what are you guys seeing out there for the refinancing landscape? How is that impacting homeowners, property owners?
Well, I'm seeing that it is definitely having a negative impact. Where some clients are needing to sell because they just simply, the cash flow is kind of turned upside down because if they weren't locked into fixed rates, sub 4%, that kind of thing. They're having some challenges. Yeah, Michael, you seeing anything?
Well, I mean, yeah, a little bit. and I guess then, people are having to make that calculation of like amortizing it, stretching it out, for longer more years. I think actually, it kind of highlights actually, like, I think the value of the federal government's like tool of that stress test. I believe, like, I think that is actually, I've spoken to a few mortgage brokers and they said, like, in hindsight, it has protected the overall housing market and banking industry. I think people have to just be careful, that they don't get in over their head.
I was talking to a client who is living in the U.S. now, and just the stark difference in how the regulatory bodies view their duty to protect consumers in Canada versus the U.S. Things like the stress test. It made things harder initially for some people who are looking to afford or stretch their purchases. They had to scale back what they could afford or what the banks thought they could afford. And you're right. I mean, it's helping now. Where in the U.S. they sort of view it as this is a consumer benefit to get lending, and it's a consumer risk to take it on whatever terms they see fit. So when rates go up, they just they come after them hard. There's no forgiveness there for the consumer.
Yeah. I see potentially return to the scenario we had in 2008. If we get too many of these situations, we're going to see some bank repossessions, and it's possible. So you have to be careful. Locking into a fixed rate right now may not be the best thing, but you might lock into a short-term fixed right now. But if you had a variable, which a lot of people do and did, and it can be really challenging. Like the rate, your monthly cost is almost quadrupled in those instances. So imagine what that does to your cash flow. The impact that has is pretty significant. So those with cash is king, I think, in the market. So investors that have cash or that have access to affordable financing, like CMHC, and it seems like those are the only projects really that are feasible right now, is those with low CMHC financing.
Mm-hmm.
Those seem to make sense, and I guess that's an opportunity in our market right now too. So for anyone looking to invest, if there's a development where you can purpose-built rentals, or I think units over 4, I think qualify over 4 units.
Mm-hmm.
Then those are the target areas.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, on to maybe some personal topics. Stampede. Michael, I saw a photo on Instagram of you at some kind of a concert or an event last night.
Yeah. I nearly didn't make the live stream. Let's just put it this way. I was a little groggy.
Yeah.
I think I ate some bad chicken last night. I'm just joking. I went to the Wild Horse Saloon and saw the Rural Alberta Advantage, which is a great Alberta band. And it was a great time. Like it was just so nice to be out. It was really great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Wild Horse is the tent. Where is that?
It's on 6th Avenue, like kind of across the street from the court buildings, I guess. Yeah. Great stuff. Like they've got a whole series of concerts lined up, like almost, I think, daily. And yeah, it's my wife Claire and I we're planning on going to another probably 2 or 3 concerts actually. So it's nice, this is this side of Stampede I can completely embrace. The Midway stuff I'm not super keen on, but yeah. How about you guys?
Yeah, no concerts for me. I was at a Stampede event yesterday, and I have 1 or 2 other sort of corporate events to attend next week, but that's probably all it's going to be.
Yeah. Similarly, I think it's more. It's a good opportunity to do some networking. I think where you get out and see people you haven't seen for a while. clients and business associates.
Yeah.
We were at the Acumen Capital event last night. Saw a lot of people we hadn't seen for a while. Yeah. I mean, Stampede in Calgary. When else do you get an opportunity to attend an event in pay $15 for a beer in an event in the back alley under a tent? Like it's I
Really slipping on puke.
Yeah, great marketing. No, but I do agree. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I mean, in the old days, and maybe I don't see. Maybe I'm just not participating. But in the old days, in Calgary, a lot of people you'd be walking around by noon. A lot of people would be inebriated in Calgary just from all these events. Downtown. They would have, of course, the penultimate kind of Stampede event is a Stampede breakfast. And some of those, some of them, they served alcohol, which was not the best idea, but seemed like a good idea at the time. So you can imagine.
Oh yeah, that's still happening. That's still happening. And actually, Dan, where's Mike?
Yeah, good question. Well, here we've got this just in. We've got
we got a reporter on the ground.
We've got a boots on the ground at the Stampede Parade.
Hello, everyone.
There we go.
Just dialing in here with the.
How's it going, Michael?
It's going great. We're just getting the dragons coming by.
Oh yeah.
Oh great.
And it is packed down here, so it's.
Nice. That's awesome.
I had heard something about there going to be record attendance at the ground and stuff. I expect that's going to be the case because it is so packed down here.
Yeah. And buckle in for the thunderstorm that's coming.
Yeah, I'm not going to hear much because now I think the more of the drums and bands are coming through. So I'll just give you a quick shot of it.
Awesome.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, thanks for dialing in.
Happy Stampede from.
Oh, that's cool. Well,
anyways, say hi. We'll see you guys later.
Okay. Thanks for joining.
Is this like
Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah, it reminds me of when we were young.
Breaking news.
Yeah, I drove past some of the Stampede route last night, and it reminded me of when we would. Well, there were people had set up their chairs and station, the night before, and they'd lock their chairs in a with bicycle locks and stuff together so to save their spot. I remember going down there at 5 o'clock in the morning when our mom would take us down and get ready to save a spot in the parade.
Oh yeah. Well, just a quick little personal story. My dad, he passed away last summer, and obviously, as we all know, and one of the most memorable things last summer was him saving, seats in front of the Fairmont Palliser, right front row for the parade, and he was down there with with Muhammad, his previous business partner, saving these seats at like 5 a.m. or something. And he was so proud. So we've got a few pictures. Maybe I'll post them later. Oh, what, that location?
No, well, maybe the location, but that habit. Oh, it might have come from his parents, from his mom, my mom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. That's cute.
That's awesome. Anyway. That's awesome. Well, that's probably a great note to say goodbye, and we'll check back in. We might be a little sparse over the summertime here, but we'll continue to do these, and so stay tuned, and thanks for checking in.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.